All right, guys, number 2 it is. Let's do this. This is from Dark Souls, the very first one. Oh, a lot of views on this one. 20 million views. A lot of people must enjoy this. All right, so we're going to enjoy it here, right now, you and I. So here we go. This is Dark Souls, and the track is Gwyn, Lord of Cinder. All right. And this is a boss fight? Okay, so if this is a boss fight, I mean, in my mind, when I'm thinking of boss fight, obviously it's a character who's going up against like the hardcore cat, in the game, and there's multiple bosses in the game. I have to admit, for something as heavy as Dark Souls, I was thinking that a boss fight would have to be, ginormous and huge and a lot of, banging going on, because not knowing myself what the game looks like and what could be happening as far as sound effects behind it. If there's a lot of, maybe swooshings of, weapon sounds or gruntings or, voiceover type effects and stuff. What I will say is that the piano playing that's happening there, there's a lot going on that pianist is doing from his left hand, or his or her left hands, is doing here. And in the middle is where these rhythmical clusters are happening here. So when we get back in, you listen to all the way on the left, or on this side, on the left hand, you'll hear these really low notes that are happening in probably the last octave and a half of the piano. So the hand is moving. It almost sounds like in a stride style. Stride means that the left hand is really doing some big leaps going on here, because the melody on top is way up in here, so the hands have to be pretty spread here. But that style of playing allows a lot of, or the way it was written, there's a lot of clustering in the middle. And in that clustering of the notes in the middle that the piano player is playing, there is, obviously he's staying in chord changes that are keeping you tense. It's all pretty much dynamic minor chords and stuff like that. But there are a couple times where there's some, once again, those dissonant notes that were popped in there to take you off balance. But this is really, really super unique for a boss fight, in my very little experience. But this is the first time I'm trying to visualize a boss fight with this kind of music. I love that piece right there. You know what I loved about this too? There's something else about this. I'm reading a couple of these comments here. I'm glad that Mr. Nathan 021 that does really kind of clarify that, and that's part of the magic that this composer brought to this, is something of that nature that is very intimate. And also, when I started saying I really liked that section and how it pulled back, in my mind I thought maybe the character or something was reassessing or fading, or something was happening. You guys were telling me that that's when the flame is dying out. What I love about this as well is that as a pianist, hey Liliguri, thank you for coming by. As a pianist, but I'm not a very talented pianist of that nature. I can play, but I humbly say from a 1 to 10, I'm about a 3 at very best. Is that those in that last, well, really in a good part of the last half of when the pianist was playing these octaves in the melody, that it was purposefully not perfect unison. So in other words, hitting the 2 keys down at the exact same time, so you're getting this perfect unison melodic playing on that high end. There's a slight delay on the highest of that octave, so it's almost like a ba-da, 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 ba-da. Let's go back just for a second. I'll just play that for you guys now that I kind of brought it up to you. I'll just play a little chunk right up here, and let's listen to his right hand and how that melody is not perfectly unison. And because of that, this whole piece that we just heard was, even though it was in a tempo, was very moving in kind of a flex way, drifting in and out of it. Just listen to that. I'll bring it back to right about here. Let's just listen to that high end and listen for that difference between the right hand octave he's playing and the very high note, how it's just a nanofart late. Is that cool? There's a little... Yeah, I thought that was great. And I love that because here's another thing that I really, really loved about this piece was the fact, because it wasn't, excuse me, a giant orchestral piece, that because I don't know what's happening in action, and I'm looking at you guys here, sorry, I do say stupid things sometimes, nanofart. Oh, hey, thank you, Danable Bear. I appreciate that. That really means a lot to me. I really do. I'm going to fill my coffee with that coming up soon. Is that it's very emotional. To me, it's a lot more emotional than, let's just say, a patterned piece that's written at a tempo, and we're staying at a tempo, and arrangements are coming in and out. It's very, very emotional. And I think if I ever get the opportunity to see that section in gameplay, maybe there's something I can look up on the YouTube. Then I'll be able to marry the visuals with it. But just based on what you guys are saying here, what an incredible decision that the composer made for a boss fight. That's got to be, because I got to tell you something too. Not only you guys, but I had a ton of requests for this track when I posted it on my community post on my World Music Reaction channel. This was a really, really big request. So apparently, out of all the bosses, I'm sure there's other really good ones, but this one seemed to have made the biggest impact and has a really nice nostalgic effect. Then again, this did have a bazooka amount of 20 million views. That's very telling, you know. Ooh, I just got chicken skin. I don't know why, or most people know it as goosebumps. So, all right.